The Brian and Kenzie Show.
On Q101.
Brian and Kenzie on Q101. We will have the key word for the Moon Crush Pink Moon Festival, a whole trip to Florida where you can win it with this key word coming up from Brian and Kenzie on Q101. Just stay here for a couple seconds because we've got to continue with this conversation. I mentioned that airline bag fees hit a record of $33 billion last year, just the bag fees. And it opened up a can of worms with a lot of people saying what happened to them when they flew. Lauren on the text line, what do you got?
Melanie's got a hot tip. She always brings old socks and underwear on vacation, then throws them away before coming home. So
Holy
it makes a little
crap.
room. That we should not have to live like this.
What a genius. We're praising people, down at the University of Chicago for doing great things. No, that woman is a genius. Just throwing everything away and then coming back. I love her. I
don't want to wear old socks and underwear on vacation, though. That's
Yeah,
the time to
right?
let my freak flag fly. I got to be clean.
Okay.
Well, what's the difference going to make with what you're wearing? Is this your good outfit? What is this?
This is my good outfit.
All right, checking in Mike from Michigan City. What's up, Mike?
Hey, how's it going, bud?
Going excellent.
Hey, so I got a good one. We've gotten two dogs two separate times out of Boulder City, right outside of Las Vegas. And when we fly in, we like to hit the dispensaries a little more than the usual. So when we're bringing the puppy back to O'Hare, the breeder sends us with about a 5-pound bag of dog food, just to start off, and it's in a Ziploc bag. And this happened two separate instances with both dogs. So we're coming back, and I've got the puppy in my hand. I got my backpack and like 5, 6, 7 jars of weed in the backpack. next to the dog food. So they're like, okay, take your bag off and run it through the scanner. And they're like, you have to step in this line. And I'm like, oh, okay, great. So I step in the other line, quote unquote, which is like the sketchy line. And they're sitting here going through my backpack, and they're like pulling out jars of weed. It's like a clown mobile. They got one jar, they're pulling out the next jar, and then like, it was the dog food. It hit for explosives. I was like, I guarantee there's no explosives in there.
Hope not.
And then they're like, okay, so they look through the dog food. They're like, oh, you're good. Put the jars of weed back. All while I'm like trying to hypnotize him with the puppy. Like, don't you want to pet the puppy? Pet the puppy.
That is such a move.
Pet the puppy.
You just
Strong
distract
move.
them with cute dogs.
Yep.
So then following year, same deal. Same thing happened. Hit for explosives. And it's a premium dog food. I'm like, what's in this damn dog food, It hits for, they scan it and it hits for an explosive or whatever.
Really?
But they just, it's funny because they overlook the weed. They're just like, F it. He's going back to
He looks like a good boy.
Yeah.
Yeah, he looks, the dog's cute. Keep going.
Yeah, there you go. Well, that's awesome,
Yeah,
man.
I thought that was funny, but $33 billion in bag fees, you got to be kidding me.
Right.
Crazy.
Think of how much weed that would buy.
Think about how much weed that would buy.
I know you're going to think about it the rest of the day. Well, good thing the weed once you got legal here, so it's all good now. For
You
my
still
man.
can't bring it on a plane.
No, you can't do it. So here we go. On this plane, don't bring any weed.
Please don't.
No. Moon Crush Pink Moon this April at Miramar Beach, Florida. You got Noah Khan, Lake Street Dive, who I saw at the Salt Shed before it opened inside. They did a great show outside, which they do both those shows. If you haven't had a chance to go to them this summer, they do outside and inside. It's pretty cool. Also, the revivalist Marcus King. All you got to do is text the national keyword COVE, C-O-V-E. Not to our normal text number. This is the number, 95819. Text the national keyword COVE right now. 5-night condo stay, those airfare. Probably cover some bag fees, I imagine, too. I'm not speaking for them, but I think so. And then a 4-person Cove for all that. Text that right now. It's Brian and Kenzie on Q101.
Brian and Kenzie in the morning. And Chicago's alternative all day.
Q101.
Brian and Kenzie on Q101. And we got our tickets for the beach weather. We got our winner for that. Don't worry, we'll have more of those tomorrow. More Riot Fest tickets, 8 o'clock tomorrow, the 3-day passes. So just make sure you're here tomorrow.
The Q101 Morning Crew. Sports.
Big day today in spring training if you're a White Sox fan. White Sox at the Dodgers at 2 p.m. That's a spring training game. Of course, the Cactus League at Camelback Ranch, which I've been to that stadium. It is awesome out there in Arizona. If you can make a trip and if you can afford to do something like that with the airfare and the bag fees and all these things, that'd be nice. You can't take a train to Arizona for spring training. That would take a minute.
No, but if you fly out to spring training, let me give you a tip. Don't buy a commemorative baseball bat. You know how in the gift shops they have those mini bats you can buy?
Yeah.
So I went to a San Diego Padres game once, bought a bat, tried to take it back home. They said it counted as a, quote, club, which is a weapon that you cannot bring on the plane.
Totally.
And I had to pay about triple digits to ship it home.
Oh, my goodness.
But I wanted the bat. It was a cool bat.
Do you still have it?
I do.
Oh.
I love the mini bats. That's one of my favorite things to buy.
Yeah, they are dangerous.
Well, in the wrong hands, anything is.
Aren't they made out of wood?
Yeah.
So couldn't you just put it in your sock under your pants? And the
On a
metal
plane?
detector? Yeah, the metal detector wouldn't figure that out.
It sees everything, you know. When you go through those things, Lauren, they see everything.
No, you
It's
tell them you don't
heat.
want to be felt up or whatever, and you do the one that's
Is that what you do? Excuse me.
I don't do it. I prefer. Some people pay extra for that. But I know there are people who don't like being touched. Brian Haddad.
I don't. I don't want to be touched
that
by
you're like,
anybody
no,
except
I'll
my wife.
go this way, and then
Wait, you're getting touched by hand every time you fly? It's not that Aragon. They have machines for this.
Wait, you guys don't?
No.
TSA agents now applying for work. I can work that shift if Lauren's going on vacation.
Where's she going? Oh, I'm working that day.
Yeah, I want to work. Okay, so why is it important today? Because Shohei Ohtani is making his debut for the Dodgers today against the White Sox, 2 o'clock, $700 million contract. White Sox made it clear early on, we're not getting in this bidding war for one of the best players of a generation.
No.
Now, talking about the new stadium, Pritzker said these quotes are amazing. I wonder if this was an email to Jerry Reinsdorf. He actually said these words that, quote, taxpayer dollars are precious. Why is the state $70 billion in debt? I'm not sure. Anyway, I started out really reluctant, and unless a case is made for the investment yields a long-term return for the taxpayers, we can justify in some way. I haven't seen that for the new stadium in the 78, this new fake neighborhood they've come up with to make a stadium. Now, listen, I'm not being a hater as a Cubs fan. A new stadium would be wonderful. But Case is the White Sox fan here, and he thinks Guaranteed Rate is a top 5 ballpark in the country, and I agree. When I go there, it's really nice.
I would rather invest that money into players than a new ballpark. We don't need a new ballpark.
Look,
Like to catch some W's.
Yeah, I would love that, Lauren.
It's real simple. If they would have got Shohei Ohtani, it would have filled Guaranteed Rate Field. It's that simple. People aren't going just 2 miles more to go to a stadium or 2 miles south. That's not going to stop them. It's a nice stadium. I remember they used something. They said, yeah, public transportation is not good there. The red line stops
literally
right there.
drops
Could it
you
be
in
more
front.
convenient?
Yeah.
If you're a CTA rider like myself, it could not be more convenient.
By the way, doing a little research, the Illinois Sports Facilities Authority, the government agency that owns and finances Guaranteed Rate Field, still $50 million in debt 33 years later from the build of that stadium.
Our tax dollars are precious.
And $640 million for Soldier Field is still there. 22 years after the renovation, $640 million still owed. The people that made these rules, they're dead. I mean, the people that came up with this, they don't care about the money later on. They're just getting the cash grab early. Now, again, a new stadium would be nice, but I don't think it's necessary. It would have been better to have Ohtani here.
Well, what are these people going to do? Worry about how this affects us? No, they're just going to do what they want and deal with the consequences later.
Yeah. By the way, Reinsdorf is a billionaire. If they want to build the stadium, they can build this. He can fund it himself.
He could pay
for
for it out of pocket, and it wouldn't make a single dent in the way that he lives his life.
Can you imagine that?
No,
you can build a stadium for $3 billion, and you can still go to the ATM and get as much out as you want.
Yes, you can still have $3 billion left over.
We paid daycare. I went and bought bologna and white bread for the rest of the week. I'm like, I'm strapped for a week. You know, paycheck comes in, cool. We can go back to maybe eating some pizza now and then. Good Lord. You put it in perspective there, Case. Good job.
Thank you. I do what I can.
The NFL Combine started today. Caleb Williams, the number 1 target of the Bears. Well, we don't know exactly what they're going to do.
We
Trade
don't
that first
know
pick
at
or
all.
not. He says he's not going to throw at the Combine
Why is he saying that?
because he had a rough year. He didn't have the best year. The Heisman year was the year before. He's a great player. He got a lot of stuff on tape. He could be a, quote, generational talent. I was at the Notre Dame USC game earlier this year. He sucked. And he was pathetic.
Okay,
Notre Dame's a decent team, but they had him confused. I need to see him throw today at the Combine to see if he can do anything.
Maybe he lost his magic and he doesn't want to lose that status of the first round draft pick. So he's going to not show you his stuff before that happens.
You're exactly right, Lauren.
Oh, I got a toothache today. Can't throw the ball.
Listen, I got a toothache. I'm not going to make a $30 million rookie deal that's going to end up at a $200 million deal eventually.
No, you
Not
are
with
not.
that attitude.
No, you are not.
Brian and Kenzie in the morning. And Chicago's alternative all day.
Q101.
Brian and Kenzie in the morning. And Chicago's alternative all day.
Q101.
Well, that is beach weather. We'll have more tickets tomorrow for them, as well as Riot Fest at 8 o'clock, 3-day passes, and a whole bunch of tomfoolery tomorrow morning.
Really, tomfoolery's on the schedule for tomorrow.
Yes, tomfoolery.
I'm looking forward to it.
All that. It's Brian and Kenzie on Q101. Lauren, who normally starts right now, just so you know, has been filling in all week for Kenzie on maternity leave. So Dougie Styles is here doing her show.
Yep, got it again at 2 o'clock this afternoon. Fly on down to Florida to see the Noah Khan Festival down there, Moon Crush. But before we go into your takeaways, I have a takeaway from the show. Is that okay?
Sure, go
Case,
ahead.
Brian,
Yes,
Lauren, if I chime in?
absolutely. Absolutely.
My takeaway from the show this morning is if you ever see Brian at the airport and he has some excess suntan lotion, be prepared to drop your pants.
That's right. Factual.
Just want to throw that out there really
take.
quick. Yeah,
It's expensive. I'm not throwing it away.
$15. I get it.
Yeah, come
I
on.
get it, yeah.
It's ridiculous. Takeaways, Case. What do you got from our listeners?
Angel in River Grove checked in. He said, Brian and Case owe Lauren a graduation gift because they thought she couldn't pursue a higher education.
Oh, hell yeah. You definitely owe me.
Now, listen, she's posted pictures of not only her college graduation from the University of Florida, but her high school graduation to prove she's graduated.
I'm shocked by both.
Clearly. Yeah.
Sure.
Now, she texted her dad to send the pictures
Yeah.
during the show, and all I can envision is her dad is like, are you going to get fired because you didn't graduate high school?
I got your back, darling. What do you need?
Why am I taking
that resume?
You better call him and tell him to calm down. It's all good.
I knew this radio thing wasn't going to work out. You need a real job.
I told you.
My dad said that every time I'd call him.
me
Spinning
too.
records.
When are you going to go to law school? He'd say that to me all the time. This ain't going to work out for you.
Dad, I'm preparing the new 7 Dust track. I'm not going to law school.
Lauren, what do you got from our listeners?
Julio says, Brian shoves anything and everything in that hole of his.
Yeah.
Yeah, facts.
That's what I've heard about it.
Finally, 219 Double Features Mike checked in. Takeaway. Tuesday takeaway. Let's forget the fact that Brian's mouth can get places without touching things and focus on the slavery of roly-polies.
Oh, man.
Listen, you miss a moment, you miss a lot. You got to get the context for those conversations. Case, what's on the podcast?
Brian and Kenzie podcast today, 6 a.m. hour. Brian got very honest and open and revealed his dream to be a world-class swing dancer. We talked about that at the start of the show. Lauren has more mob connections than we realized. We were introduced to
Facts.
Lauren Soprano today.
Yeah, right?
And then if anybody is confused by the takeaway about Lauren going to college, 8 a.m. we discussed the fact that Lauren just doesn't look like she went to college.
Guess not. I don't know.
No offense.
No offense.
Yeah,
That doesn't mean you can just say whatever you want.
There are people that have the college look, and there are people that look like Lauren. There's nothing, there's nothing to it.
Wow.
But the pictures are proof.
Thanks, Dad.
Thanks, Dad.
Unless it's AI generated, I'm not sure. You miss a moment, miss a lot. The podcast at Q101.com, the new Brian and Kenzie podcast, and anywhere you get your podcasts.
The Brian and Kenzie Show.
On Q101.